Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I'm Vlad.
And I'm Matt.
So, World War III. Some say it's here. Some say, it's almost here. I don't think it's necessarily here. I think it can be stopped, right? With cooler heads prevailing. But let's watch this. This is General Flynn. He was on InfoWars yesterday. We're going to play just his part.
This is the greatest existential threat that we have faced in our nation's history. And we have the momentum is in the American people's hands. So those that are listening, call your congressman up, right? Your congressmen are about to come home on a little break for Thanksgiving. Go call them out. Call them out, folks. I mean, you got districts all over this country, 435 of them. Let's call these people out and tell them, hey, we're not, we don't think that you're doing enough.
So he says, we are in an existential threat like never before. He says, but the momentum is on our side, right? And he says, call your congressman. Because it's our congressmen, men and women, that can actually either impeach Biden, stop Biden. They can even get in his way of sending anything else to Ukraine. But what do you think? Do you think it's too late? You think we're already too far into this conflict?
I don't see us having a conflict. I think Trump's settling things behind the scenes. I think he's a master negotiator. Blessed be the peacemaker.
Yep.
Right.
For they shall inherit the earth.
For they shall inherit the earth. I think Trump has the whole situation under control, but I think what he's also doing at the same time is he's allowing Congress, he's allowing these people to go ahead and funnel the weaponry, right? We're going to eventually probably have NATO under the spotlight, right? NATO is when you look into NATO, what is NATO? NATO is just an extension of the Nazis of World War II.
Yep.
Right? That's all it is. It's literally a Nazi organization. So I think it's in a way a good thing that a lot of this stuff's going forward and that people are seeing this, because it's really creating that very stark contrast between what leadership's like under a pro-America, pro-MAGA president like Trump versus what we've been dealing with our whole lives, which are just these globalist bastards who will happily send your kids to war while they sit back and collect their paychecks from the different weapons manufacturing companies. It's sick.
Yeah, I loved when Vivek Ramaswamy, when there was the Republican debate, and Vivek looks at Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis and says, please name the 4 regions of Ukraine that you are willing to die for, because the war is not for the entire Ukraine, it's for 4 regions of Ukraine. And DeSantis and Nikki Haley turn all red. They put their heads down. They can't.
It was perfect. It was brilliant.
They couldn't even say Crimea. These people are, But even we saw, I think it was OMG Media who exposed a UN Peacekeeper Manager for saying we wanted Nikki Haley to win because with Trump we have no wars. This is an official UN peacekeeper. And he's like, we make no money when there's no war. We want war. I think what they want to do is they want to screw up the world as much as they can. If you watch that entire clip, General Flynn says, pray that as little damage is done before January 20th. He's like, we have to get to January 20th. He's like, that's it. Then he's like, we shift. He's like, we will shift the presidency, everything. Trump comes in. He's like, but now he's like, this is what we're fighting for. We're fighting to get to January 20th with as little, garbage made by Biden as possible. But let's take it to a hypothetical. Ukraine uses nukes. And I listen to Ukrainian media. I listen to Russia's media, Vladimir Putin speak, to Zelensky speak, to a lot of people in parliament, in the Russian parliament. They don't, I'll say this right now, they don't respect Trump as much as they did a month ago. Russia does not. Because Trump a couple times said, and I'm leading this somewhere. I'm doing the weave, like Trump said. He said, when I win, not even when I'm inaugurated, but when I win, president-elect, 24 hours, I will stop the war. And he called Zelensky right when he won and tried to stop it. And he realized that Zelensky is a loose goose. He's out of control. That's it. And I think Biden, everyone else has figured that out. They lost control of their puppet in Ukraine. And they're like, Trump doesn't understand how deep it already is. Hypothetical. With them saying that, with where we are, it's been 2 weeks, Zelensky's out of control, Zelensky's asking for nukes, and he gets them, because they are talking about nukes right now. That's all over the news. Should we send them nukes? And they nuke Russia. I don't think Trump will be able to stop it. They will destroy everything and everybody. I think they'll nuke Europe, the UK. I think Russia will react that way. With Ukraine,
it's a near-death experience.
Huh?
It's a near-death experience, just like Juan talks about. This is what it is. This is the coming near-death experience. It's reminiscent of the cold Kennedy, right?
Mm-hmm.
during the nuclear standoff with Khrushchev. It's just history repeating itself. You could be right. There could be a couple of loose nukes floating around Ukraine.
And then we're done. It's not going to be near death. It's going to be death.
It very well could be. Wouldn't surprise me if they still had something in their arsenal. I hope it's a situation where cooler heads will prevail. I don't think Putin wants to retaliate. I think the way people have to look at this is that you have a country's government, right? Mm-hmm. That they throw at you, and then really you have a deep state within within your own country. So it's almost like the secret government that's really running the show. You're watching the war between the deep states, right? They want to set these wars up because they're on the verge of defeat, right? So the more that they can engage in war, the more crisis they can call for, the more dependent upon people will be of government, right? War takes off. People turn to the government and say, protect me, protect me. So we have to, hopefully Trump and Putin and Zelensky and Xi for that matter, hopefully they're all working together behind the scenes. I pray that this plan that we always hear about, I hope this is a very real thing. And I'm starting to believe it very well could be. But, a nuke going off and killing, however many hundreds of thousands of people is going to be a very sad day for this world, should that happen. And it could. I agree.
If you look at the way, so there's the deep state and I know a lot of people don't like when I say this, but I believe it. Putin is the deep state of Russia. He's the deep state of Russia. You go against him, you go to prison. You go against him, you disappear. Your family disappears. This dude was a KGB agent since he was like 16, top of the top spies under Soviet Union, stationed in Germany. He is the deep state of Russia. There was Vladimir.
I disagree with that, by the way.
I totally agree with it. My family lives. See, and here's what. In America, Trump is the persecutor. It's persecuted, talked bad about. In Russia, you make a tweet and say, I'm against Putin's war or I'm against war, 15 years in prison. 15 years in prison. My mom's
I'm not going to be here.
Son is in prison.
I'm not going to be a defender of Putin. I'm sure he's not a great person, but it's like a Saddam Hussein situation. Like Saddam Hussein was a POS, but he killed terrorists, just as Trump said, right? He kept stability in that region where Iran wasn't going crazy. I kind of think of Putin in the same way where, sure, he rules with an iron fist, but at the same time, I mean, Russia has actually developed quite nicely as a country under Putin. I mean, they have a lot of privatized industry. Their economy, I mean, compared to where it used to be, is much better than it was. The ruble's still around. I mean, the ruble never disappeared, right? It's probably actually, it's a much stronger currency now. He's going to gold.
There's a lot of currencies that are still around. I just have family who live under him. You say one word against him, he talks about freedom of speech. And this is where I say I don't have much hope in him because as This is where I do think he wants to stop the war. I do. But the deep state war, he you know, when it comes to Russia, he controls everything. There's no deep state. There's no free state. Putin is everything. All right? Nothing like
he's a dictator.
He's, yes, who plays on a persona of wanting a better world, but there's, but that's a whole different thing. I'm worried. Like yesterday, we were sitting talking with family. They're like, Ukraine and Russia. I'm like, screw all of that. I'm here. Where I'm going is I do fear that if there's one nuke that goes off, one nuke, all nukes go off. Russia has the dead hand. Israel has the slingshot of David. We even have most of our nukes will go off by themselves if we're all wiped off the face of the earth. How does Trump stop it? This is just a hypothetical. If a nuke does go off, one, even if it's like a regional thing, I don't think Putin's going to want a peace negotiation, and he shouldn't. I mean, if someone uses a nuke against you, peace is off the table forever. But right now we have Zelensky. How does Trump deal with Zelensky when he comes back into office? You see, he's loose, right? He's talking about no one's going to force us to sit down. He needs to be gone. But of course, you don't want to, be the guy that unalives them, but he needs to go. And I think Trump needs to figure something out. But that dude's a loose cannon. He's a loose cannon. He's cussing out the European leaders. He's giving the bird to NATO. Like, the coke has gotten to him. How does Trump
is smart enough? I think Trump has already a deal. I think the deal's already done. If this is going to have any positive outcome, the deal's already done and everything else is just optics. I pray that's the case. Right? Show up to the battlefield, right? Art of war. Show up to the battlefield with the war already won. Right? So Trump's going to show up to the battlefield with the war already won. Maybe we have to go through some motions to maybe go through some events to wake people up to say, hey, we could have just gotten ourselves into a worldwide nuclear holocaust, right? By going and that would bring into focus all the spending, right? All the spending that we're sending to the Ukraine, all this money, all these weapons we're getting over there. That should be that stuff shouldn't even be happening. No money should. The lesson in this should be that we shouldn't even be sending money for a war. We shouldn't be sending any weapons. If there's a discrepancy, you go to the negotiation table and you talk it out. You don't deal with it by firing off nukes at one another. I mean, look at World War I. World War I, how many people died in World War I? How many millions, tens of millions of people died in World War I? Why? Over the assassination of one guy, Archduke Ferdinand. One guy, the assassination of one dude led to the deaths of tens of millions of people. And we're in this perpetual cycle. This is what I think we're getting at. This is why I'm very positive, is that I think what Trump's doing is we're ending this perpetual cycle of starting these pointless wars. What Putin doesn't want Ukraine. He's not interested in taking over Ukraine. This is a deep state operation. I mean, look at the deep state. They had, why did Putin even invade Ukraine? Well, Ukraine had bioweapon labs right on the border of Russia. I mean, how would we feel if, Mexico had bioweapon labs right on the border of Arizona or at Texas?
And the craziest thing about that, the craziest thing, I'm just going to, this one thing.
Please.
Putin invaded because the Russian people were being persecuted. My mom's cousins lived in eastern Ukraine. They were waiting for either the war to stop or someone to help us. Russia found the biolabs they didn't know what they were by their satellites. And the first time they spoke of biolabs was when they entered, and they're like, what the hell did we find? They come out, they're like shocked. They're like, we kind of thought, but holy crap. They're like, everything we said, we were saying, like, you guys are doing some messed up stuff. We knew NATO's there, but like even the biolabs, they didn't know until they went in. And they're like, we knew NATO's here. And they're like, no. Then Victoria Nuland is sitting in front of Congress. Well, they're not biolabs. They're anti-biolabs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing. Yeah. Same thing, Victoria. I saw that clip. And it shows you, and just by Victoria Nuland saying that, you could tell by the way she says it, if people pull that clip, you could tell that like they found something that they didn't want exposed and out in the open. And we're going to learn a lot more about a lot more bioweapon labs all over the place. Maybe there are some in Mexico, and we haven't heard about it yet.
We're about to find out.
We're about to find out. But I think Trump has a deal already done with Zelensky. He has a deal already done with Putin. I think the deep state has to play their hand, expose themselves for the traitors and the murderers that they are. And that'll be even more reason to get people together to go start having Nuremberg trials 2.0 and start hanging these people.
And if they do start doing that, I'll live stream it, right? The public hangings.
Honestly, people need to see it, man. People need to see it. These people that are in power are the scum of the earth, and they should be the furthest. They should be the furthest thing from being in power as possible.
And before we wrap up, this is where being prepared is a good thing. Whether it's food, shelter, your finances, you never know. Matt, tell the people about being prepared.
Well, the idea is that your money is obviously a very important aspect of your life. And unfortunately, what these events are going to coincide with, in my opinion, is it's going to coincide with a form of a banking crisis. When you start having nuclear war breaking out, it's going to do things like crash economies. It's going to crash stock markets. It's going to ruin confidence. These could be the catalysts. These could be the reasons why you see a complete collapse in the market. So if you're sitting there with a retirement account or just cash in the bank, that's the perfect target to go and convert to the physical precious metals, because precious metals will be there for you. As we've always said on your show, Vlad, it's not a get rich quick scheme. It's just a way to preserve the integrity and the value of your money during a very tumultuous and very uncertain period of time where anything can happen. I mean, here we are sitting here discussing the possibility of a tactical nuke going off in the Ukraine. It could very well happen, right? And we're very far away. Thankfully, we're not going to have to physically experience what a nuclear bomb is like, right? God willing. But at the same time, the domino effect that will have on markets and banks around the world, this could very well be the excuse why we need to go to the central bank digital currency. And then overnight, they try to pass some legislation to get us into the digital currency. I have a very good friend who was at Mar-a-Lago the other day, and she was talking with Trump's people. And they were talking about how they're most likely going to implement, at least for a short period of time until it fails, the CBDC, right? Once your money goes digital, you can kiss that money goodbye. So I think what we offer
Trump wants to do that?
What's that?
Trump wants to do that? His people?
No, he doesn't want CBDC.
So why are they going to implement it?
They're going to try to force it through. My prediction is Trump doesn't make it in on the 20th of January. I don't see it happening. I got a $20 bet with Ethan, Vlad. Okay, so if I lose, I owe him $20.
I'll go on that with you.
You want to go in? You agree he's not going to be there on the 20th?
Oh, he's going to be there on the 20th.
He's going to be. Okay, so I'll take your bet as well. I don't see it happening. I think that, they need to escalate this war, and they're going to do just that. They need to escalate. They need to create as much, like you said at the beginning, they're going to have to create as many problems as they possibly can for Trump to walk into. And
that's the point. But so I looked into this, and that's what I was saying. They want to start as many problems before the 20th to kind of give it to him. That's the point, because they want us to suffer. They don't hate Trump. They hate us for voting for Trump.
Yes, fully agree with that.
And Flynn even said, why do we need to get to 20th as safely as possible? Because if we don't, you got to go back, and it's like a 40-minute thing he did yesterday. He was at Alex Jones' studio. He said, if it gets to so bad that Trump can't be inaugurated, he'll never be inaugurated. That's it. We're done. Over. He's like, that probably more than likely will not happen. And then Alex Jones asked him, well, what if we go to World War III? He said World War III can stop an election, but not an inauguration. Senate, Congress, if the election already happened, and he was even saying, he's like, this is why we need to get to the 20th without dying.
I hope so. I hope you're right. And I see it from multiple perspectives. In other words, I see it from your perspective. I see it from other perspectives. I just would caution people. My message is that be very careful out there. Be careful where your money is. Make sure you have enough supplies at home where you can sustain you and your family for a period of time, maybe a couple months, maybe shoot for 6 months. But I really think we're stepping into the real battle here. We just took the beachhead, right? We just took the beachhead. Now the troops, right? Now the troops are landing on the beach, and now we got to get to war. And this is where we're going to fight these next couple months, this next 6 months, from what I hear, and maybe my sources are wrong, are going to be very tumultuous, very difficult. So buckle up and be prepared. And we're happy to help you, here at Verity. We're happy to help you with any precious metals insights, advice, whatever we can do. Even if you just want to call and say hi, and I saw you on Vlad, I'm happy for that phone call too. So, whatever we can do to help, we're here.
Ladies and gentlemen, all that, the phone number, email right there on the screen. God bless you guys. Make sure to subscribe. See you